What is up, everybody? Palangi Studio of Rock. Welcome, Matt Walst here from My Darkest Days and 3 Days Grace. What's going on, man? How you doing out there?
Good, man. It's been a like rainy, crappy kind of week here.
It is. We've been having the same weather here, but it's better than snow, because you guys,
Whereabouts? Yeah.
upstate New York.
Okay. So yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm
Same.
about 7 hours from Toronto, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yep.
don't mind the snow. We had a bunch of snow. Like I think a couple weeks ago or like last week, and like we had a good like 2.5 feet of snow. So I have two snowmobiles, so I go out in it all the time, and it's fun. But this in between stuff, it's like slop. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I was like, "What are you gonna do during your spare time?" Because I've seen some videos of you on like four wheelers and stuff like that, skiing.
yeah, so I live outside of Peterborough, Ontario. I live out in the country. I have 25 acres. That Yeah, lots of four wheeling, dirt bikes, snowmobiles. Yeah, I grew up on them, so it's nice
Yeah.
to be able to
Do you
use
fix
them.
them too? Do you work on them?
Small stuff like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can change a spark plug. That's about where my
My dad's
expertise.
into that. He rebuilds like dirt bikes and four wheelers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wish I knew more, but like I wish I knew more. In high school, I had a choice to go into automotive or what was it? It was home ec. It was called, which is like
Yes. Straight to your
sewing,
stomach, right? Though.
cooking, and yeah, I thought, oh well, in like automotive, it's all gonna be dudes, and in home ec, it's all gonna be girls. But I'm going in home ec, so
That's
yeah.
true. That's a
I
smart
can
guy.
I can sew pretty well, so like all the patches and stuff on my jackets and like ripped
Nice.
ripped crotches, I can sew them up pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, you on tour, you got nobody else, so what are you gonna do? You got to do it
Oh yeah,
yourself. And you're like,
yeah.
oh,
And
okay.
then yeah, when I sew stuff and then then it gets the other band members interested. They're like, oh, I need something sewed too, and so I'm like
Yeah. Do you change patches and
seamstress.
stuff? You're like, "Nah, I don't want that one anymore." Whew.
Yeah, yeah.
It's cool stuff. It's funny having you on here because I'm like, yeah, I'm telling my friends and stuff. Yeah, I'm interviewing Matt from 3 Days Grace. I'm like, what? What are you doing? Everyone out there in the network too is very excited for this
Cool.
chat, and everyone tuning in. We're on the radio right now, but you can see obviously this video version to social media and YouTube and stuff later. So I appreciate it. Shout out to our supporters. We have Envious Music Magazine, Alyssa Ebersold Concert Photography, and Melissa Harding Vocal Coach Extraordinaire. So if you need reviews and you need band photos and vocal coach stuff, which I was going to talk to you about, make sure you hit them up. I seen a post. Do you work with a vocal coach now?
Yeah, there's a guy named Mitch Seekins. He's just in London, Ontario, just outside of London, Ontario. And I've been doing vocal lessons with him now, I think over 5 years
Oh
since
wow.
Human Record. So, yeah, it's been a long time.
How has that advanced your singing style? I know with me it was more about warming up and warming down, which I never
Yeah,
knew about. Like, oh, you got to do warm ups after your set too.
yeah, I never do warm downs. He doesn't really recommend it. Like, it's not like a big deal, but definitely warming up before the show. And like a little lip trills, like when you wake up. Like I always do a little lip trills and like kind of see what I got for the day.
Yeah.
Um, but like still, like morning is much different than evening. Like it's crazy how much your body like can reduce inflammation over just a couple hours. Like
Yeah. Do
yeah,
you find when you wake up you're like more congested and it kind of goes away and
oh yeah, always.
yeah,
Oh,
that's how
but
I am. Like my voice is really bassy now and it'll kind of go away towards the end of the day.
yeah, I'll get more high endy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find yeah, like over the tour, my falsetto will go away completely, but I don't use any of that falsetto anyways in like a live show. We don't have anything that's falsetto.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of turns into this kind of like instead of a
It's good for backup vocals when you're
yeah,
recording, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
was listening to The Mountain and some other songs off that record, and I could hear some of those backing harmonies and stuff, and I go, he probably doesn't have to sing those live, which we're all like, it's kind of a relief, right, for a singer. It's like, oh, we don't have to do those high parts.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But um, what I've got a lot of questions, but let's go back here. How did you first start singing? What made you do like rock and hard rock style versus country or anything?
Like I was a big fan of Deftones. When they released White Pony, I was big fan, and like Around the Fur, I was a big fan of that album too. And what's the first album? Adrenaline? Or is it Adrenaline or Adrenaline? Anyways,
I think so.
yeah,
I'm
like
a fan, but I'm not like a huge fan of them.
yeah, I was a big fan back in like 98, 99, 2000. So even when I was still in high school, we were covering Deftones, and like I really loved his voice, and like on those records, and I try to like scream like him, sing like him, and like he was kind of was kind of my inspiration to kind of start doing it for myself and like start singing. And like some people are born with a great voice, and then some people can develop a voice, and like you don't really know until you do it and like really
Yeah.
start trying to do it. And yeah, just kind of developed it over the years.
Yeah, it's something where it's not like mimicking, but it's like we mimic the people that we like at first. That's how we all
Yeah,
start. We're kind of all, I guess, cover song singers, to start with. And it's
yeah,
weird because it's like, well, what does my voice exactly sound like? And then, well, I can't do that like that guy, so maybe I'll do this, and that eventually what makes you you,
yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
interesting. So you had some high school bands and stuff, and then where'd you come up with the name? Did you come up with the name My Darkest Days? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, like my guitar player at the time had an MSN sign in that was Darkest Days, and
Oh, okay.
we were big fans of Stabbing Westward, and
Oh yeah.
they had a record called Darkest Days after the first record was that's the what is it, Blister Eel, something like that. It was a great record. But anyways, we saw that, and then like I saw that, and I was like, "Whoa, what if it was like My Darkest Days?" And like I found on, My Darkest Days that I wrote the best material, and it was like kind of therapy, and yeah, that's how we came up with that name.
That's awesome. Sometimes it's
Yeah,
random, It's like, I don't know, I've seen it on a pizza box. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
But that's cool. You drew from one of their songs and the albums and stuff. They were on, I believe, the Crow 3 soundtrack or something. That's how I found them. Or Bride of Chucky, one of
yeah,
them. So you kind of listen to the same stuff that I did growing up, like Power Man 5000 and some of
yeah,
that kind of style.
yeah.
Were you a fan of like the horror movies that had that type of music in there?
Not so much.
Okay.
Like, not much of a horror. Like my favorite, one of my favorite movies is Lost Boys, but
Okay.
it's it's not like over
Super
the top.
scary.
Yeah, yeah,
All those jump scares in the 80s, they'll get you. What
yeah,
can I
yeah.
say? So from there, so I've heard you guys were still like practicing in your basement basically, and then how did you get to where it's like we have this, because you guys blew up fast when it happened, because I remember I seen you, I believe it was in the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something of that first tour. We were like,
Yeah,
who are these guys? And I think
yeah,
I don't know if you're the first one, but very close to. I was like, why does he have two mics on stage? I think he
uh,
used. We can talk about that later.
yeah.
But
Back in those days, I probably only used one, but yeah, that first tour was with Sick Puppies, and we blew up quick, but the time that it took behind that, like, was a long time. Like, some of those songs I wrote back in like, well, started the idea back in the early 2000s, like 2099.
yeah,
It's called "Save Me." That's the first song off the record. It was. Like I recorded that or made that like in 98, 99. Every Lie was around the same time. So like old material,
wow,
but then then you take it to like a songwriter like Chad Kruger, and he can elaborate on it. And I learned a lot from those guys, Chad Kruger and Joey Moy. Um,
Their
like
production techniques are within the songwriting too. It's interesting, you know.
yeah, and both of those dudes were high level songwriters at that time, and just to sit in a room with them and and back in the day, I kind of thought about what the song was about, but like I just rely on feeling and okay, like this is how this riff makes me feel. It makes me feel angry, or it makes me feel sad, and then I'd elaborate on that with like sad lyrics and or angry lyrics, or
Yeah.
and putting emotion into it. But I never really sat back and was like, okay, what am I writing about? What am I talking about? Where that was the first step to that. When I hung out with Joey and Chad, like we'd focus on what the hell we're talking about and not be
Yeah.
vague.
Yeah. It's like, what are you trying
Yeah,
to say here? You know what I mean? Well,
yeah,
yeah, dude, it's a cool line. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's what you're thinking. And
yeah. And
yeah.
some musicians get to that point and they're like, no, this is the way it is. This is like, this is my art, man. And
Yeah.
like through with my art. So, at that point, like I was super cooperative and like listened to everything they had to say, because, here I am just I think I was like 25 or 24 when I started writing with Chad. And like here I am, small town kid, like 1,300 people getting flown out to Vancouver to go hang out with Chad Kruger. It was crazy. Like I still remember getting the call from him. My brother shot him a demo that we had, and I still remember getting a call like, "Hey, it's Chad Kruger." I'm like, "What? Is this a prank call?"
Yeah. Yeah, I
We
know.
want,
Can you
we
sing?
want you
Can you sing like him?
yeah, come out
Uh,
and hang out like at the house and write some songs. So it was pretty crazy. Like
did
definitely
you
surreal.
did you run into Daughtry? 'Cause I think Daughtry kind of wrote some stuff with him too.
No, I was there when they were working with Daughtry, though. I was hearing the demos of the songs that they were working with them, and yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And actually, second record, I was there listening to the song "Cruise" by Florida Georgia Line.
Not at the top of my head, but I know the
Big
band.
song, you make me wanna roll my
Oh yeah,
windows.
yeah.
So I heard that before, like the whole world did. Like it was in demo stages, and then it became the biggest country song in the world. Like that.
That
That's what Joey's doing now. Now he has like his own record label, Big Loud Mountain, I believe it is, and he has Morgan Wallen. He moved out to Nashville, and he's just like Ernest Hardy, Morgan Wallen. All that's coming
yeah.
out of pretty much Joey's record label, and pretty crazy stuff. Yeah.
Do you find that everybody is moving to Nashville? Because everybody that I've interviewed, they're all like going there. A lot of
Yeah.
local musicians here that I've worked with, they're all like going there.
That's the place to be, like for songwriting and session players and all that. It's
Yeah.
just central hub of that.
Studio stuff. I think it's hard if you're a country artist and you're trying to make it in Nashville because there's a million of them there.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So it was like, was it California back in the day when Metallica and Megadeth, at the Sunset Strip and all that. There was a dime a dozen, glam metal bands and whatever. I'm sure
yeah,
that was really tough. There was bands that there was an old documentary I just watched on like it was like a VH1 something back in the day, and there's some of these 80s metal bands I've never heard of that were just like Poison and stuff, and I go, they were just as good, but either the drugs took them or they just never made a good
yeah,
decision, I guess.
yeah.
I don't know.
They were like labels were signing a lot of like artists back then. Like major labels were like throwing money at a lot of artists, because like the artists that they had that blew up were making so much money back then off
Yeah.
record sales, and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's that's where I think you guys got in right at the last minute because the industry changed from 2010 to 15. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I hear now it is a lot different. They're like, you don't make the 80s money anymore in the 90s, and I'm like,
no,
well, Yeah, you got the streaming and you got, a bunch of other
Yeah.
stuff. A lot of people don't know about it, A lot of people don't talk about that side of the industry, but I try to hint on it a little bit.
Yeah, like if you can make money from creating music and playing music, like no matter how much money that is, like I think it's miracle almost in these days.
Yeah, to get paid for your art. It's like an artist,
Yeah,
you sell a painting, you just sold one painting, so what's next?
yeah,
You know what I mean? So, and is
yeah.
that going to retain you? So, you guys, I was gonna say just really quick. How did what's the story behind Every Lie? Because I know it was written a couple years before.
Yeah, like yeah, back in the day, it's hard to remember like writing that song.
That's one of my
Uh,
favorites.
yeah, like it's just about a girlfriend that's not truthful back in those days, or like somebody that you're with, and yeah, like just elaborating on that. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, simple enough, right?
yeah,
I like it. So, I've heard you guys were gonna go into a third record and you recorded I think a few demos or something.
yeah.
You think we were ever gonna hear those flying around someday?
Actually, like uh, Painkiller was one of them that we started with MDD, and actually became the first single with me and the band with 3 Days Grace.
Yeah.
We changed it up a lot, and it became what it became. But yeah, it was originally going to be an MDD tune before the whole blow up happened, and yeah,
Wow, that's cool though. That you
yeah,
could, I was gonna say is listening to your first two records, especially the second record, I can hear that in the 3 Days Grace stuff now.
yeah,
It
yeah.
changed 3 Days Grace style from especially from what Adam did to this, and I can hear it, and I was like, there's little nuances and stuff, not just your voice, but in the music and stuff too that had come over.
Well, and like the last record with Adam was Transit of Venus, and they were using like a lot of keyboards and stuff and on that record. So I don't feel like Human had a lot of like keyboards, only a little bit, but definitely we started bringing it in more into Outsider, and especially the last record.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we all bring a different thing to the table and styles, and there's songs that we have recorded with 3 Days Grace and like started that were just like way too My Darkest Days, and like they're just chilling, but
You ever?
there's
Oh, go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say, do
Oh,
you ever get where you're writing a song, you're like, I'm ripping off my own song right now, like it's almost the same thing.
yeah, we call that style. Yeah,
Okay, okay,
like
it can happen.
yeah, for sure. Like my riffs, a lot of my riffs are very similar, and yeah, it's hard to not be yourself.
Do you play guitar on the records too, ever, or you just write
Like
with guitar?
no, I just write with guitar usually with 3 Days Grace. I did play a bit on My Darkest Days stuff, but like I'm like a nail at guitar. Like I made up my own way of kind of playing and drop tuning, and like I'm not the greatest guitar player, so and that's another thing with when you're like recording records with like people that are experienced and stuff, like that was one thing too. I was like, oh, I'm gonna play all the guitar and stuff, and like with, you have to realize that there's somebody who can play the guitar like 10 times better, and like
Yeah, or
get
just the idea in your head, you're like, this guy puts it down. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah, like
Yeah.
it's just like a wicked guitar player. So back in those days, I'd like he would play a lot of the guitars on the records, and yeah.
Yeah, I was. I mean, your guys, the both bands, like the production and stuff is they're obviously when we folks like when we record, we add more than one guitar. Obviously, when you guys play out, you have one guitarist,
Yeah.
and with a lot of stuff, I do hear a few guitar riffs and stuff. I was gonna say that must be a little challenging sometimes with one guitar.
Yeah,
And but you guys sound, so big.
yeah.
It's
You pick and choose, and like Barry Stock is like an awesome guitar player. So with 3 Days Grace, it's always like held down very well in the guitar section by Barry. So
yeah. Did you guys
yeah,
use a click for My Darkest Days?
yeah. We ran to
Yep.
click and stuff. Yeah,
Back
yeah.
then, you were like, the people thought you're like used a click. You know what I mean? Like it was bad.
Yeah, yeah. No, like, and that's one thing. Like when you start out, like jamming and stuff, you never use click. Back
Yeah.
in the day, I remember like when I first started playing in a band, like I just tuned to the bass player. I'd be like, okay, hit your like first note, the second note,
Yes.
tune to him, and we wouldn't even know like we were probably halfway between a note, you know.
Yeah.
But back then you don't know. So like once we started, like okay, tuner, always be in tune, and then click, always be on time. Your drummer has to be able to play the click, like, and once
Yeah.
we start those in place, then it started bringing the level up, and but like when you start out, you're like, yeah, what do you need that for?
Do you use the click in your in ears? Because I know you use in ears, but
Yeah, I have a bit in there. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It definitely helps with time and where you're landing and stuff. A lot of singers won't have any click, but I like to know where I am in the time. Yeah,
It must be so because I sing and play guitar, and I'm always like, it must be so nice not to worry about the dang guitar and just worry about your vocal, and you can move around, and
yeah,
that must be more freeing because I'm like, you figure literally like when you play guitar, you can't do as much, and you know what I mean. You got this thing, and you got the parts, and you can't screw that up, and
yeah,
it
yeah.
it's so. I was gonna say, has your mic choice changed? I like to talk about music gear too. So the mic choice from My Darkest Days to 3 Days Grace, is there a certain brand you always go with? And I know you
Um,
use that classic mic now, which is cool.
yeah, yeah. That's just like he puts like effect on that out front. I used to have a bullet mic, and now we use. I have it somewhere. Oh no, I brought it in. All right, right. Yeah, now we use an old school mic for the bullet mic, and I've always been on Sennheiser mics. We got a
Okay.
pack. My Darkest Days, we got a pack of Sennheisers for the whole band and drums and stuff. So, and then in 3 Days Grace, it's just a wireless Sennheiser. Stepped it up, no more cords, which was
Yeah.
nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Some guys, they love the chord. They love it. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Like I think I saw is it Ronnie Radke? He plays in is it
Yeah.
Falling in Reverse?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, so I saw him play back in like 2011 or something like that, and he uses a chord, and that dude like could fling a mic out halfway across the crowd and pull it right back into his hand. I was like, oh my god, that is super cool. Like
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't do that, but it must have like taken some practice and stuff. And I'm sure a few people got hit in the face over the years, but
And a lot
to
of
see it live,
mics because it gets weak after a while.
yeah, yeah. But to see it was all duct taped and shit on
Oh,
there.
okay. Oh, okay.
But like to see it, like it was nuts. I was like, how is he doing that? Like it was straight line out, straight line back, right to his hand. I was like,
Can you
wow,
imagine when
that's
the audience goes, "Oh!" He captures that by throwing the mic at him and then
yeah,
throwing it back, timing
yeah,
that
pretty sick.
as the feedback comes out the monitors.
Yeah.
So you've like for people that necessarily have never stepped on a stage, what's it like playing a huge outdoor arena gig where there's like 30,000 people and then going to a club where there's like 1,000 people? Like, do you view the gig differently? Is there certain things that you worry about, like as a musician? You know,
No, like I find they're both awesome. but I treat it the same every show. Like I'm gonna do the same level of intensity and give it the same. Like, I give it all that I have left, or all I can give.
Mm.
Um, but like I find it in like the 30,000 people ones, like it feels like a surreal moment. Like I played in 2013 when I first joined the band. We played Rock on the Range, which is a massive festival,
Yeah,
and
I
uh,
remember that.
we had pyro, and it was just crazy. It was the first one that I was like, okay, this is nuts. And I felt like, is this really happening right now? Like the crowd was just insane, like amount of people, and like they're like mosh pits everywhere, crowd surfing. It was kind of like we would play for, like, we played a few shows for a lot of people in My Darkest Days, but nothing like that ever. And like the crowd, it's just nuts. Like those songs, Animal, playing Animal to like a crowd like that. It was just like it was crowd surfing and just nuts. I'm like,
Some
this is wicked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some of the audiences are let's say not created equal. You never know what you're gonna get too, which
yeah,
is kind of cool.
yeah.
But
We played Europe a couple of months back, and we played Scotland. I think it was on a Saturday night too, and it was absolutely crazy. Everybody like was hammered and just having a great time. And like between songs, they were saying, here we effing go." I don't know for, but like they were so into it. It felt like a sports event, like, or like some kind of crazy soccer event that was just like out of control.
yeah, is there different countries do different things? Because I never even thought about that.
Yeah, like that's a big one there. Like the chant, and in Argentina, they sing a lot of the guitar riffs. So like in Animal, like da 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 da,
No.
like whoa whoa whoa
That's
whoa, like
cool.
the whole crowd is singing like the guitar riff, which is really cool. It's like way different. Yeah.
That must be surreal because then it's like, and then it gets so loud. You ever find, well, you have in ears, but it would get so loud that it's like a part of it helps a part of the music. You know what I mean? It's almost like in the recording now,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah. It's pretty.
It's almost like your own string department, sort of,
Hell yeah, yeah,
which is kind of cool.
yeah.
What kind of guitars you got behind there?
Um, right now I have I got an Ibanez I just got given to me for my birthday, which is pretty cool. My buddy
Nice.
Mango gave it to me. Here, I'll show you.
Yeah, as I say, happy birthday because I know that was the other day.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Yeah, so I got this given to me for my birthday here. It's an Ibanez.
Nice. Everyone in the audio world's a white Ibanez guitar here.
Yeah. And then I just got with Schecter Guitars, and they sent me a few Schecters that are pretty wicked.
I was gonna say I love that color on that gray black kind of.
Yeah, and the back is like super cool too.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have the
Yeah.
band? Is that the numbers from 3 Days Grace on the neck?
I think it is numbers.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I look forward to playing these on stage. I was just with Gretsch. I played Gretsch baritones.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah.
Do you like the grid? You know, the long bridges in the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could never find strings for them. Like so damn long.
Yeah.
I had I'm an ESP guy. I had an ESP baritone for a while. Now I use the 1000s with the Evertune bridge, which is kind of
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, it's nice to do it on like the E and the A string, and then you don't do it for the high ones because it's such a weird feeling of like I'm bending the string. I know I'm bending the string, and it's not doing anything different. It's just going,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
wow.
Weird feeling, but
Yeah.
it's very nice for recording. So you set it, and then you don't have to worry about tuning it 8 times in between songs.
Yeah, that's nice.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever used ESP. I do have a Schecter. Somebody traded me a guitar, or I traded a guitar head for a Schecter guitar, and I was surprised how much I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a few Schecters over the years, and I was like them and Ibanez, like just like the guitars, like you find the right ones, right style, and they just like will never go out of tune. You can
Yeah.
drop the leave them in the cold, and they like you pick it up. Like I've picked up Ibanez that's been sitting for like forever and played it, and it was like it's still in tune. Like that's possible. Yeah,
Nice. Is
yeah.
there any advice to give, I guess, new singers, people that are wanting to get into bands and learning guitar? Any advice that you would give them?
Oh, just create whatever you want to do. Just have fun with it, and find people that you get along with, and have the same drive as you. If you really, really want to do it for a living, you have to find the right people that really want to do it. Uh, I lived in a live-in rehearsal spot for I think about 5 or 6 years. When I was 22 to 28. So yeah, like this place
Wow.
was, maybe 500 square feet with 2 bedrooms off of it. Didn't have a window, had a skylight, and has a little built inside. I don't think they have as many as they used to in Toronto, where we moved to. But back in the day, they had like live-in rehearsal spots, so you lived where you jammed, and yeah,
Yeah. I mean, why not, right? You just wake up and roll out of bed and grab your guitar and do it.
yeah. Yeah, back in those days, I was waking up at like 2:30 in the afternoon, and then, you know, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes all day, and then jam at 8 o'clock, and
Oh,
for
geez.
4 hours, and that was your day. Yeah.
How does that work with singing? Does that affect your voice, smoking, or?
Uh, I'd say so, but like it's like it can add some rasp and stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Back in the day, before, like, if we wanted a gritty vocal, on a song, I drink a can of Coke, and it will, like, I don't know, like, what it does. It'll make you sing a little bit growlier.
Maybe carbonation and the syrup or something. I know
Yeah,
Reba does a little bit of Dr. Pepper with like
yeah.
Pringles or something, which is
Oh,
interesting.
yeah. The Pringles. Yeah, some people will eat like regular chips with like because the salt will helps, I guess, or something. The salt and also the oil that's in the chip. Like
Coats your
some
throat.
yeah, like I know that Chad. I've only done it a few times, but like take like a little shot of olive oil or like of
Ooh,
oil,
ooh.
and it will like coat your throat.
Yeah.
But like yeah, it can have some backfiring going on there.
You
Too much.
said Chad does that from Nickelback?
Yeah, like he used to make a mixture of like I think like gummy bears, melted gummy bears, and a little bit of oil.
Oh.
I guess the glycerin gummy bear will help your throat too. Yeah.
I've heard everything now. Melt your
Oh yeah.
gummy bears, folks. I'm not going to try it, but you should try it
I,
sometime.
when I start getting real raspy and like my throat is getting pretty thrashed, I'll I got throat coat and
Yep.
the tea, honey, and then what is it? Cayenne pepper. So you put a little
Oh.
pepper in the drink, and it actually has inflammation stuff in the cayenne pepper.
Oh,
I
okay.
I find it helps. Yeah.
Do you ever do clove or anything like that? Like any different spices? No.
No.
I'll take green tea, mint tea, and add some clove and a little bit of ginger.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Mint I like because I have asthma, so that's like my troubles. I'm like, man, I don't know. Like sometimes I'm like, I just can't really sing right because of my asthma, and I'm like, mint helps a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But tea is good. What do you do for like before you go on stage? You do like we're talking vocal warm ups.
Yeah, I do about like 10, 12 minutes of like lip trills and a few scales and stuff, and yeah, and then I have a few drinks and get on stage.
Do you ever do any like I kind of hum like do you do hums or like to lower like your lower part of your voice or
No, mostly just lip trills and no humming, no.
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 My I actually take lessons with Melissa Harding, the vocal coach, and she we did this new one where you blow into this plastic bottle with water,
Uh-huh.
and you try to sing and make notes and do scales and stuff, and I go, I like this more than I like warming up.
Interesting.
It's
Well,
really
yeah,
neat.
that would definitely help your what am I looking for? It would definitely help like the you keep notes longer and stuff like
Yeah, lung
you know,
health and the pressure
yeah,
it does.
yeah, I find like it's funny like I got a little boy and like I'll like just hold a note forever with him and then I'll be like how come I can do this like oh yeah that's why because I do it all the time but I can hold like the same note for like a couple minutes just like without taking a breath.
You must be a good swimmer then.
Yeah, yeah, I used to
Yeah.
be. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. A lot of swimmers are like that. I found out. The chlorine got me a little bit, but I used to love it. And they wanted me on the swimming team, and I'm like, can't do it, man. Chlorine just dries the hell out of me.
yeah,
Can't do it.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
helps. I mean, especially if that's a good warm up in itself for singers is swimming,
yeah, yeah.
and it
Totally.
works every part of your body because you're like, I'm not used to this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
The first shows every tour, it's like, oh geez, I gotta like start getting my shit together because like this is hard, you know.
do you know like a month before, like I gotta get into that mode? You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, I'll I'll sit here in the studio and sing the set over and over before a tour and just get used to it again. Like, and I find when I start, like it's like, oh, like how did I do this again? Because it's a lot of breath placement. Where you can breathe. Like you think about it when you're here, like actually doing it, and then it just becomes natural after a while. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I take a breath in this part to be able to hit this part, and
Yep. Yep.
I don't hit this part so much, so hard to be able to do this part, and yeah,
Repetition too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
That
becomes
what
muscle.
I was gonna ask you before we head off here is what's the story behind A Scar Is Born?
Stars Born's kind of about like remembering that time that you went through some shit in your life and going back to that place and just remembering how hard it was to get through it. Yeah, and like after you've been through something traumatic, you try to get past it and get on top.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I hear a lot of that in your music and with Souvenirs too, which is a cool tune. It's a different style for you guys, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I like that song a lot. We got to use some different stuff. Like I love vocoders and like all sorts of like vocal effects kind of stuff. And so to
Yeah.
be able to a song like that and have some vocoder and some cool like vocals that are like carrying on and stuff, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm always about vocal effects. I love them.
Was the goal, because when I listen to the new record, I feel like because you're singing about explosions in space and stars, I almost feel like if you had recorded the vocals like in outer space, like there's some parts where I think you were going with that feeling of either the vocal effect or you
Yeah,
know
yeah. Like the guy that we co-wrote a few of these songs with, his name is Ted Bruner. And I've been writing with Ted since we co-wrote "Porn Star Dancing" together. We co-wrote a bunch of My Darkest Days stuff together, and then we co-wrote "Fallen Angel" with him too. But this record, yeah, we co-wrote with him a lot, and he's all about like space, and he's always looking up NASA, and and he's got a thing like he's been through a lot of shit. Like he lost his mom in a car accident when he was 13. Um, so he's been through a lot. He lost both of his parents when he was in his teens.
oh
So
geez.
for him, I think when shit gets really like tough and you just got to take a look at what we actually are and pull back for a second and like if you really think about the size of the universe and like the size of like this never ending space that we're out now,
Yeah.
it definitely brings perspective into how big your life is and how big your problem. It might seem like a big ass problem at the time, but it's actually very small in the whole scale of the universe and who we are. And
Yeah,
yeah,
and
he's really good at that, and he's really into space, so it kind of rubbed off on the songs for sure.
it's cool. It's definitely different different vibe. And who produced that record? Was it Howard Benson?
Yeah, Howard Benson, yeah, and us, yeah.
I was gonna say your drummer and Howard have a label really quick with Judge and Jury that I follow, and I'm like, he's doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. I love working with Howard, and he's just so good with vocals and like finding harmonies, and it's a really it's a good experience working with him. Like it makes you feel good. So
He's like one of the, if he ever listens to this, one of the top five Howard rock producers out there. I
I
know
think
Brian worked with him from Daughtry, and he said he was really awesome too. And I know some drummers that tracked some stuff with him, and I don't know, like his style is I don't know how to explain it because you have Crystal Lord Algae. I get into a lot of the audio and the gear tech talk and stuff too, but it's they created, I think, what we kind of hear rock nowadays.
for
You know what I
sure.
mean? Even
Yeah,
even though you guys come from all different styles and you have different songs, um, it's hard to say out there when that a few producers actually made that helped that style.
yeah,
Let's say.
yeah. I think he was actually one of the first guys to use auto tune in rock music. I forget what band he used it with first, but he was one of like the pioneers. Like nobody used any auto tune or like any kind of pitch correction in rock music, and then he kind of started doing that. Like pop was already using it and stuff
Yeah.
back
Yep.
then, but then he was like kind of the first rock producer to be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna start tuning vocals, and yeah,
Yeah. The way he
cool.
mixes drums and stuff too, there's a signature there. I've noticed because I've listened to a lot of his records, and I was like, the way he mixes the drums and the guitars, especially the drums, is a certain way, certain style he likes.
Yeah, he's definitely a very intelligent guy. Like he went from being aerospace engineer to switching over and producer. So
Wow. So he's probably
yeah,
real technical. He can get in where he blows your mind.
yeah. Like at his house, he has like a workstation where he takes like old school analog keyboards from back in the day and can open them up, and all the soldering. He like solders all the stuff back together and like knows all that stuff inside those keyboards, which is pretty crazy.
Wow. I don't know anything about that, but that's a talent in itself, man.
No, all I know is tie the strings together with duct tape. That's my or
just
tie the wire together, duct tape. There you go.
just bang it like in the old days. That'll work. Bang the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I appreciate you coming on here. This is a lot of fun, and I do have a lot more questions and stuff, but maybe
Okay.
for another time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
So, what's your plans coming up here, really quick, and any maybe a new single or something? Who knows? New
We're
music.
thinking. Um, we have a tour that's in the books. It hasn't been announced yet. It's a pretty big one that we're
Cool.
looking to. Hopefully, I think it's coming up April ish. And then I believe in June we're going back over to Europe, and yeah, a lot more shows. And yeah, like we've already started writing for the next record. We take no time off really, and you know we love writing and touring. So yeah,
Might as well. I mean, if you're in the creative mood and you're like, guys, we just keep coming up with stuff, you might as well do it because there might be a time where you do hit a little low and you're like, I don't know.
yeah,
Then you got that stuff to draw from to to make you more creative.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
your drummer's really involved too with the whole creative process, because I started watching a lot more interviews with him too, and I didn't really know that,
Yeah. Yeah.
as much because
He's super talented. Like he can play every instrument you put in front of him. He's really good with lyrics. Yeah, like my 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 thing is like melody. Like I like making melodies and like
yeah,
create, and like I can mumble some stuff and he can hear like kind of lyrics in it and like oh that kind of sounds like that, and like it will put him onto like oh that like just writing the lyrics out, and then like we perfect them as a band and go through it. So yeah, like Neil is definitely a very very talented guy, and yeah, we're lucky to have him.
it's awesome. I know the first, especially when I heard the first two 3 Days Grace records, I listened to the drums and some stuff on the third one too, and I'm like, some of these beats on here, I'm like, how the hell do you play them? I mean, they're not speed metal, but they're the pockets that he hits. Some of the beats, I'm like, he's doing like backward beats, and he's doing this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just some of the songs I can't figure out on drums.
Uh, Yeah, like he's naturally like just a great drummer. Like I don't think he doesn't spend a shit ton of time. Like a lot of drummers out there that are like like Daniel Adair from Nickelback. He's like known as like one of the best drummers out there. He'll spend so much time playing drums. But Neil's so like talented in other places where like songwriting or like making riffs or making keyboard parts, and like
Yeah,
he's like he'll spend time on that too. But he naturally just jumps on the drums and he's right back to where he was. It's pretty crazy.
that's cool. I might have to have a producer chat with him someday. That's probably why he's in that producer role now, because
Yeah.
he's so creative.
Oh yeah, he'd have a lot more insight into like gear and stuff like that for the
That's cool.
recording parts.
I like gear talk. I
Yeah.
try to I'm like, everyone's like, well, what are you gonna do when you start to interview people? I go, well, I'm just gonna have a chat with him, and I'm like, I'm gonna talk gear, and it's not gonna be like, oh, where did you grow up, and what like, you've
Yeah.
probably done those interviews where they ask you just those same questions that are like drony, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, not to knock FM, but you only have so much time, so they have like a couple questions, and then it's like, how?
Yeah, and for you, you're a musician as well, so like what kind of stuff you use, and like the gear, whereas like some people don't really know
Yeah,
gear, stuff like that.
what's tuning your guitar? I have no idea. Should you ever
Yeah,
tune your guitar?
yeah,
Oh boy. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Palangi Studio of Rock, only here on Radio Wigwam. You guys will hear some, reruns of this. Eventually, it'll be on Mixcloud, and make sure you head over to our YouTube page. All right. And it will be on the Facebooks, pretty much everywhere. It'll be all over. You'll find pockets that'll be like, Frank just uploaded this, and they uploaded that, and then it goes there. So we appreciate you guys tuning in here, and we have some other exciting interviews coming up. We have Wes from Puddle of Mud for February coming up, so that'll be cool. That'll be a cool one. Matt, man, thanks so much. My Darkest Days, 3 Days Grace. I'm gonna have to just chat with you for a few minutes here afterwards, but this is awesome, man. I appreciate it, and
thanks.
thanks for your
Let's do it.
time and everything.
Let's do it again.
I will. We got to get your drummer on board here. We'll talk some more gear
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. I'll see you later. Thanks very much. Matt, any last words?
Oh, just thanks for all the support. Thanks for having me on, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, man. See you later, guys.